Well, welcome back. My name is Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in a small business from home for over 30 years. So, welcome back, and I'll give you some insight in how you can do the same thing. Now, I got involved in a part of the real estate business, which is a subset of the traditional business, and I'll tell you about it as we go along. As I give you some of the details, you'll understand how you can do the same thing from a home office. So today's episode, I'm asking you a question: how to start up a small home business. Well, some of these small home businesses get big, but let's start small and see if we can grow. For sure, there are many benefits of working from your home. So let's talk about those to kind of get started. First of all, you don't have to sign a long-term lease with a big office building downtown, which could be costly. So you're not going to have to pay a lot of rent. You're going to be working from wherever you're used to living. All right, could you do that in a small bedroom? Yes. Could you do that from the attic? Could you do that from your basement? Definitely. So wherever it is, you want to make sure you make it comfortable for yourself. So the majority of my clients have made it in a well-furnished room where they're comfortable. By that I mean they get a desk that they want, they get the lighting they want, they have the chairs they want. For sure they want to be comfortable, and you want it to be a quiet place where you can work. Now, it's not easy to do business, but it is easy to do telecommunications. It is easy to use Zoom, but you're going to need equipment to do that. You're going to need Wi-Fi. So you're going to need to have the communications equipment so that you can now communicate with the world. Now, this isn't going to be a free ride, but you do need to understand that you're going to have to make an investment in this little room, wherever it might be, attic, basement, small bedroom, wherever it's going to be, all right? Now, is everything going to be perfect when you're working at home? Well, I'm going to tell you it's not. It's going to be a little bit of a problem. So you need to think this out, and you need to think about how you're going to talk this over with your family. Now, flexibility is nice when you're working at home because you can eat when the family wants to eat and be with the family, but there's going to be times when you're going to have to work at night or work in different time zones. So that's going to happen all the time, different time zones, because now you're working at home. Now, if you're an early bird, you might like that because now you can get up before the family gets up. You can work in the quiet of your own little office, not a lot of noise to put up with. Plus, you don't have that long ride down to work and worry about whether the security opened the building up or not, or be working in a building that has no security, so you're not going to feel comfortable. So now if you're working at home, you'll eliminate all those problems, plus a huge time saving. All right, so let's think about that long commute. Is that going to cost you a lot of money? Yes, definitely. Automobile costs a lot of money today. And by that I mean I'm not talking about gasoline, there's tires, there's insurance, there's parking. You get the idea. So a car can cost you a lot of money, but more than that, it can cost you a lot of time going back and forth. Now, if you have to use public transportation, that's going to be a major problem. So work isn't suddenly going to get perfect, but at least you're home. Now, what are your challenges going to be there? We're going to have to think about, what about your family? What about the kids? What about the older grandparents and all the people that are around? How are you going to handle that? Are you going to have a reorientation training and tell everybody, look, you're here at home, you got to work at this, and everybody's going to have to leave you alone so you can work? Remember, when you're sitting still, what does your family want to do? They all want to be around you. They want to be close to you. They want to talk. They want to visit. So every time that you sit still, they're going to be in your lap, and you're not going to be able to get any work done. If you don't get the work done, are you going to produce any revenue? Probably not. So you want to think about that. So how are you going to handle that? Well, you're going to have to handle it, and it's going to take a lot of discipline. Listen, a loving family is perfect. However, do you need a lot of lemons when you're working? Well, of course you want that, but you're not going to be able to do that. So you're going to have to set up a discipline cycle, and you're going to have the family go along with it. Now, when you have this discussion at the dinner table, I can assure you everybody will agree. 15 minutes later, they'll all be sitting in your office. All right? They're going to say, yes, we agree. We want you to start that new business. If you don't produce revenue, you're not going to produce results. Produce a result, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to be back working for somebody else again, so you don't want to do that. So what am I trying to do today? I'm really trying to give you some insight in how to start up a small business and do that from home. So ask yourself, where do you produce the most work? Do you produce the most work at the office? Or do you do the most at home? Or is it a combination at home or out on the couch? Where do you do that? For most people, they need a quiet place. I'm one of those people. I like it quiet. I want to be undisturbed. I don't want anybody around. I don't have to have the TV going ever, except on Sunday afternoon when I want to watch the football game. All right, that's it. I can work all by myself. Can you do that? Are you going to be able to be left alone Think about that. You're going to be able left alone? No gossip, no talking about the weddings, no talking about the couple down the hall that's starting to get romantic together, no talking and gossip. Are you going to be able to do all that all by yourself? Well, you're going to be in a space by yourself. All right. So do you want to hear people talking and visiting all the time? Well, that might make you feel good. Do you need a lot of things going on in the office to work? Well, you need to think about all that because now you're going to be at home. How are you going to control this environment? All right, so what I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to answer the question, how to start up a small business from your home. All right, you're going to choose this place to work. Only you can decide where you want to be in regard to this business. All right, so face up to it. You're going to have to become a disciplinarian because when you tell them, I want to be left alone, they're going to say yes. 10 minutes later, they're going to be back in your face. So the family has to be disciplined. I can't say that enough times. Most people can't do it because they have too much of a family that wants to be around them all the time. So you're going to have to figure out how you're going to do that. Separate room in the attic, separate room in the basement, wherever you want to be. All right. Now, the commute time, I need to talk just a little bit about that because some of you commute on a train. Now, I know there's some trains that if you want to enter that certain car on the train, you have to have a briefcase and a newspaper because they don't allow kids and they don't allow, any socializing. It's going to be a quiet place to work. But most people are commuting on buses, very loud. They're on trolleys and subways and so on. Boy, that's an experience in itself. That's enough to talk about for the first half hour of work every day, what the experience of getting there. All right, if you're working at home, you're going to miss that experience. That's probably a good thing, but think of the money you're going to save. So don't be thinking about the tax deductions of a house. Think about the time that you're going to gain. All that commute time comes back to you. All that money that you were spending for gas, tires, insurance, and a car all comes back to you. That's absolutely huge. Everybody would like to have that. A lot of businesses won't allow that, but if you're going to go home and be in your business on your own, you're going to have that. All right, so the experience is not something you can talk about because you're just going from your bedroom or your kitchen to your little office. So you don't have all those experiences to talk about. So that's going to make life a lot easier for you. Now look, I found a business 30 years ago. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's a business where I could look at it today and know if I was going to be able to make money tomorrow or in the very near future. All right, it was unlike any other business. And what was it? It was a subset of the traditional real estate business. And what did it have to do with? It had to do with tax defaulted property. You see, there's 100 million properties in the United States. A certain percentage of those, 1 or 2%, are going to go into default every year. So what happens to those properties? Well, the legislature takes action. The legislature in every state has a rule that you must pay property tax. Now, the property tax, the reason they have it, it pays for the roads, it pays for the schools, it pays for the school teachers, it pays for the police, it pays for the fire department, it pays for the libraries, it pays for the hospitals. All right, so if you don't have property tax, you couldn't have a county. All right, so the county needs money. So the legislature said to the county, collect property tax. First, you have to levy the tax. Secondly, you have to go ahead and collect the tax. If you can't collect it, then confiscate the property, sell it at a public auction for the highest price you can get. So what do? They confiscate those properties. Now, there's 100 million properties, but 1 or 2% of them are going to end up in this foreclosure situation where they're going to go to tax defaulted auction. All right, it's not a bank foreclosure, it's a tax defaulted auction. They sell those properties for the back taxes. Now, what does that mean to you? That means that they're going to sell a property for just the back taxes, which might be 1 or 2% of the value. All right, so now they're selling properties for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar, and the treasurer X's out the mortgage. In other words, the treasurer cancels the mortgage. So now you can buy properties 70, 80% discounts. If you could buy for an 80% discount, could you make money? Well, of course. So I discovered that business 30 years ago. I never looked back. I'd been in real estate for decades, and I waited for the market to slowly go up, and it took its time going up. With this business, I could look at the property. I would know right then and there if it was a nice colonial house that had a value of $400,000, and I could buy it for $100,000, that meant I bought it for 25 cents on the dollar. You'd buy as many as you could buy for 25 cents on the dollar with no mortgage. How am I not going to make money? Well, it's a business. Maybe it's a $50,000 house that I can buy for $5,000. I don't know what it's going to be, but I can look, see what the price is, and know what I'm going to sell it for later. All right, so it's just an education-based business. Didn't take a lot of money. It's been around for 200 years. It's lucrative and it's little known. Very few people know about the business, but I've been doing that and teaching it for over 30 years. All right, I said highly lucrative. That's exactly what I mean. People make $25,000, $50,000, and $100,000 at these auctions. How do they do that? Because they buy it low and then they sell it quickly by selling it low. For example, they might buy a $100,000 property for $20,000. Well, they don't try to sell it for 100. They sell it for 60 and take 30 or 40,000 and go to the bank. Does it happen every day? Yes, it happens every single day. All right, could you do that from a home? Yes, I not only do that from a home business, but I also can tell other people about it and teach it. I can do the video I'm doing now from a home office. I can do it from any office I want to make. Any place. I can have it in an office building, I can have it in a closet, I can have it anywhere, because all you need is a camera and a bunch of lights in the room, and guess what? You're in business that quickly. All right, isn't that what they teach all the internet people to do? Well, we're doing it. It's happening right now. So you could be doing the same thing. All right, so keep in mind, there's over 3,000 counties in the United States. All right, all 3,000 of those counties are going to auction properties basically for the back taxes. They're going to do that at least once a year. Now, this isn't something new. It's been around for 200 years. These are public auctions. Anybody can go. Everything is transparent. There's no hidden agenda. It's a public auction. So I don't make the rules. The legislature made the rules. So you can't buy anything from me. You have to buy it from the local county. All right, so these counties are announcing these auctions every day. There'll be at least 5,000 of these auctions nationwide this year. Now, before I finish, I want to say if you're going to go to the auction, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you've had boots on the ground and you looked at the property. Now, what do I mean by that? That means you want to look at every property. You don't want to buy from a sheet of paper or a picture. You want to look at it because what if there was a fire? What if there was a hurricane? What if there was a flood? What if it was next to a chicken farm? I don't know what could have gone wrong, but if something's gone wrong, that'll happen. All right, now once it's happened, you don't want to have bought that property sight unseen. So you always want to have boots on the ground or have someone you know check the property out. Second thing that you want to be careful of is you want to be careful that you don't get too excited and bid any of these properties up. You want to make sure you know what your exit strategy is. In other words, look at the property. What can you sell it for tomorrow? All right, and make sure you buy it below that. If you don't buy it below that, you don't want it. You've got to have margin. You've got to have margin to make money. All right, my name is Ted Thomas, and right below me, you'll find a free gift. I'll see you on the next video.